Hey y'all, welcome back to another What Else is Going on We Go podcast uh episode. Had a brain glitch going on for a minute, but I'm your host, Taria. So we're going to get into the latest episode of The Real Housewives of Potomac, season 9, episode 11, Secrets of the Love Lagoon. Now, if you are listening, you can catch the visual version of this over on YouTube. Just click the link in the description box or go to YouTube, type in WeGo podcast, WEIGO podcast, and you will see me if you are watching, but also want to be subscribed to the podcast via however it is you listen to your podcast, because that's an easy and free way to support us over there as well. You can type in what else is going on. It'll come up and you can follow us over there too. So I would ask you guys to do both if you would. All right, let's get into this episode. I came and took a quick break from working so that I could go ahead and get it out before it's late. Also, you may notice that I'm in a different part of my house. So upstairs, I normally record in my living room with the fireplace, all that good stuff. And I told you, I normally leave it set up. I have like two chairs and two couches in my living room, but I have to take one chair, drag it, turn it around, set up a little. I use like a little TV tray with my laptop, mic, all that stuff, right? But we like our living room to look nice, like our place to look in order, intact, right? But then when you have this just sitting in the middle of the living room, so I was like, you know what? Let me just, and the kids are upstairs sometimes because now that they're home from break. So I wanted to do my watch along, which for members only, we do watch alongs for the after shows for Beverly Hills and for Salt Lake. I wish Potomac had one. Um, but they were watching TV upstairs and they were like, no, we'll stop. And I was like, no, let me just take my laptop downstairs and into on the first floor into our back room. We have a room that can be, it's a man cave slash family room slash when visitors come, because it's its own room. It's a big room, has its own closet, own full bathroom, shower, sink, all that good stuff. And you can use it however you want it. When I tell y'all we were so blessed to get this, I love my house. But anyway, so I'm not normally down here. Like when my son comes home, I told him now that he's home from college, this is not your apartment. Because it can be like apartment because it has its own, see the door, it has its own, you can go out that way. That's not your apartment. Okay. But anyway, that's why. So you may be seeing this background for a while. I really need a dedicated recording space. I just love the way the fireplace looks behind me upstairs in the living room, but it's just annoying if I want to just, I either keep my stuff set up in the middle of the living room or just have to drag it back and forth constantly. So today we are recording here. But like I said, members only. We are watch all the after shows together. For my patrons, the 3 or 4 that I have left since I haven't been posting. Shout out to y'all. Love y'all. I'm going to start posting watch alongs over there because when I review the shows, I watch it once and then I take notes, watch it again to take notes. And then sometimes I watch it a third time just for myself. So I'm going to start posting the watch alongs over there and the after show watch alongs over there. So stay tuned for that. But let's get into this episode, y'all, so I can get back on the road. Lord, one day, one day. All right. Let's get into the things of the things. As they say, the housekeeping is over. And also, excuse my lighting, y'all. I'm trying to figure it out. So the first scene, Mia and her kids doing an obstacle course. That's how they open up the show. She said in her confessional, the children obviously know what's going on between me and Gordon and our divorce and separation, but I also want them to know that their voice is heard and that their opinions matter. Look, I believe Mia loves her children 100%. As parents, we all make mistakes. You know, hopefully our children don't suffer because of them. Hopefully you have parents that will acknowledge they've made mistakes for our children. But I don't know, for some reason with Mia, I don't always, and it's not for me to buy. She's not selling it to me, but I just don't always buy her scenes with their children. Sometimes they like really feel forced to me, or not even forced, put on. Like, okay, we're going to do this, this, this. I get that you have to set up scenes and have these conversations. And sometimes they can actually be authentic conversations, but they may come off awkward, right? I get that. And you may be saying things that you would normally say, but who knows? A producer could say, oh, the mic didn't pick that up. Say it again. Like, we don't know. But with Mia, it just seems like everything about her is fabricated. That's what it is. So to me, this scene just felt like, But I hope they had a great time. Moving on, Stacy, Jazelle, and Karen get together. So they go to a little place to eat. Stacy gets to the restaurant first, then Jazelle. When Jazelle gets there, she says she's starving because she just worked out. Stacy said, "Okay, Jazelle, working on your fitness." In her confessional, Stacy says, "When I joined this group, aka the show, Karen said that this was about sisterhood. I feel like Jazelle has this outer shell to protect her from people, but inside she's soft and cuddly, and we're going to be besties." It's interesting that these ladies come on wanting to be friends with Jazelle because maybe she doesn't embrace them with open arms. So they, in a weird way, sort of like later in the episode, Jazelle said she likes guys who are like mean to her. It's almost like the women who want to focus on the woman that isn't necessarily cold to them, but isn't warm, but isn't necessarily open either. Remember Stacy and how she kind of felt like that about Ariana on Vanderpump Rules. So uh, when I used to listen to Jazelle's podcast back in the day, she was very clear about being surface with people, being surface friends. She ain't trying to go deep. Tell me you like my shoes, and that's it. Because if you try to go deep, it turns her off because she has that barrier. So, y'all, I hope you don't hear that noise. I keep moving around in my chair, so you may hear me rubbing against the chair. But anyway, so she says her and Jazelle are going to be besties. Karen arrives. She asked her how she's been. Stacy said she's been good. She's been chasing after her daughter Bella, Arabella. She said she's been swimming and winning every race. Apparently, Bella is a very good swimmer. She's number one in the butterfly and breaststroke and freestyle. So she's just been all over. So Jazelle tells the waiter as Stacy's talking, "Don't go far." She places her order. Karen places her order, and it ends up being that Stacy and Karen want the same thing. So the waiter says, "Do you just want one burrata for the table or two?" Karen says, "I think Stacy should share with me." And Stacy just kind of laughs. So um, she says, oh, well, thank you, Karen." Jazelle asks Stacy, "How is TJ doing?" Stacy says he's doing well. He'll be here this afternoon. He's coming back from LA for the Love Lagoon. Jazelle asks Karen, "So what are we doing at this party, Karen? Why is it called the Love Lagoon?" Stacy says, "Yeah, I want to know what to expect. I'm nervous." In her confessional, Karen says, "I love my love parties." They flash back to the party that she had Mia's first season. Karen says, "My love theme parties are meant to talk about love, sex, joy, sadness, and fun." Sadness. Why we got? Can we just keep it on the joy and the fun, like the love? Karen says that there'll be libations. You'll have a full bar. Then she says, "Well, not a full bar because I don't want anybody getting lit, but you'll have a bar." Jazelle says, "I want to get lit." And Karen says, "No." Giselle said, "Why? Why I can't get lit?" And Karen says, "Okay, you can get lit if you want to." Stacy says, "Are we playing games?" And Karen says, "We're going to play games." Now, I, for one, I don't go complaining, but I've said it before. I'm not a person that loves the game nights. This when I get together, I just love good, fun, sometimes serious, sometimes not conversation, and just kind of moving around the room like a butterfly, right? I will go to game nights that my friends have, and I don't complain. I don't let them know, but they're not like really my favorite. So when she said playing games, I was like, oh, but couples games sometimes are fun. Anyway, Stacy said, "Because I want to win. TJ and I want to win everything." Jazelle said, "So when he comes here, does he work?" Karen said, "Oh, like, okay," while she was eating. Stacy said, "Well, he's auditioning in LA. So when he comes here is when he knows he has downtime." So Jazelle says, "Got it." They show a flashback of him. And I don't know if he was a nurse, a doctor, whatever. And he was on the set. He said, "I'm on the set of Grey's." Uh, Jazelle says, "You just need to be Stacy and just figure out what you really like." Karen says, "You need a moment." Stacy says, "I do know what I really like." Jazelle says, "Are you sure?" And Karen says, "I'm going to put my lip gloss on." Jazelle says, "Woof, okay, well." Stacy says, Karen says, "You know what you really like?" Stacy says, "I really like TJ." Jazelle cracks up and Karen says, "I'm going to put my lip gloss on." Jazelle says, "Ooh, okay, well." She said, "We just want you to have more penises." Stacy said, "More what?" Jazelle said, "Penises, or is it called peni?" Oh, Karen said, "I think it's penises." Stacy says, "Stop it." Jazelle says, 16 years to TJ, meaning you've been married 16 years, then you go to TJ. Karen says, "How long have you known TJ?" Stacy said, "I've known him for about a year." Karen said, "Girl, you don't know nobody in a year." I mean, Karen says, you've been married forever. As Jazelle is saying, you need to compare and contrast penis. Stacy said, I know he's God-fearing. Jazelle said, he got who? Stacy said, God-fearing. And Jazelle cracks up laughing when I tell and says, okay. Stacy says, Jazelle. So Karen says, well, don't go looking for your connection in the church because those men's in the church are looking for connection too. You know what I mean? She said, that's why they go to church. She's saying all this as Jazelle is cracking up. Karen said they go to the church to get them some booty. Jazelle said, okay, I'm not going to tell you where to look for this man. Stacy said, well, he meaning TJ is not getting booty. Karen says, we don't know that, Stacy. Jazelle says, Stacy, I mean, if he ain't getting it from you, he's getting it from somebody. I'm just here to tell you. So Stacy says, what? Why would you say that? Jazelle said, it's the truth. In her confessional, Jazelle says, TJ is doing TJ. Tried to show a flashback to TJ dancing around in that green silk bonnet that Stacy says she don't wear. She said, okay, I'm not quite sure what that is. In her confessional, Stacy says, I'm not worried about what he's doing in LA and why is everybody else so worried about what he's doing in LA? They need to worry about their man or lack of. I said, okay, so shots at Jazelle. In her confessional, Karen says, TJ has a whole life in LA. Just saying, let me go ahead. And then she sips. No, she said, let me sip. Go ahead. And then she sips her Red Bull, which I could use one of those about now. Back in the scene, Jazelle says, okay, we're going to leave this alone as Karen is looking at her watch. Stacy says, why are you looking at your watches all of a sudden? Jazelle said, because it's time to go. Jazelle says, oh, look at the time. And they crack up. Now, listen, I'm going to say this. It is not impossible for men to be faithful when they're in a different period. But then you add in, and it's not impossible for women either. Does it always happen on either end? No. But we know we don't like stereotyping or generalizations when it comes to certain things, but then we all, and I'm guilty of it too, but then we will generalize or stereotype when it comes to something else, right? And absent of TJ and even with TJ and Stacy, that man, there is a real chance that he could actually not be cheating, whether it was TJ or another man. Like, it is a sad world we live in when we feel like every single man or woman is up to no good all the time, always. That is not everybody's struggle. Some people don't even have a struggle in their relationships. I mean, no relationship is perfect. Please understand that. But it's just the way she's like, he's getting it from somebody else if he's not getting from you. And maybe that's because of her past and what she's used to. But that is not always the case. There are faithful people out there. Now, let's talk about TJ. I feel like he might not be getting it from nobody for various reasons, child. I don't know. I just don't like this idea that he can't possibly be faithful because it's just not possible. That's not why I believe he might just be getting it from somebody else because he can't be faithful. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I just had to say that because it's not always that. It's not. Moving on. Wendy, we see Wendy going into a store and the other ladies are arriving. So she goes to the store to announce a Panama trip. Wendy gets there first. Child, Mia arrives in yellow and Dr. Wendy says, okay, come on, Mia Targaryen. I said, what? In her confessional, Jazelle says, okay, Wendy's been doing the most. And then she says, Wendy and the group text. So they show the group text on the screen as Jazelle's narrating it. The text reads, ladies, all caps, 3 exclamations. Can everyone meet up and shop on Thursday? Big news in all caps, exclamation. Karen texts, I can make it. Jazelle says, another birthday party. Mia says, I need a new bathing suit. Back in her confessional, Jazelle says, what am I shopping for? What's happening? What's going on? Wendy, why? In the scene, Mia, all the ladies are there except for Kay, I think at this point. And Mia says, Ashley, so you shop here? Ashley says, yes. I said, immediately no. Immediately no. Ashley always looks, she's coming out of rave, not coming out of a rave. Like the raves they have coming out of the store, rave, Joyce Leslie, Deb Shop, Mandy's, the store merry-go-round, all them in one. Ashley always looks like that's where she's coming from. And sometimes the store Michael's, the craft store. Yeah. That that's where Ashley shops. Okay. Ooh, child. So Ashley says, this is Michelle. Michelle actually dresses me for big occasions, like a certain date that I may have had. She's talking about her date with Josh. She needed somebody to dress her with them shorts and t-shirt. I mean, she was cute, but I was like, okay. They do a flashback on her kissing Josh. Stacy says, what's his name? Ashley says his name is Josh. Wendy said, is that why you? And then she kind of stopped. And Stacy says, look at your face. Wendy says, I was surprised when I saw you had two entrees for the Love Lagoon. So I guess they had to pick their food. Ashley just laughs. Stacy says, oh my gosh. Child, Jacqueline arrived. Look, I think Jacqueline is a pretty woman. I really, really do. Style is subjective. So I hate to say something's out of style, something's in style. They don't have fashion. They don't. Jacqueline just always looks dated to me. Like ring, ring, ring. It is 2000, the year. They want that dress back, that club dress back. And if you put a blazer on it, office. Like Jacqueline just always looks so dated to me. To each their own, though. Everybody has their own sense of style. Because you know what? If it's your style, that means it never goes out of style. So they all say hey to Jacqueline. Child, Wendy said, last time I saw you was at my party. Child, Jacqueline had a bit of bass in her voice. She said, I know I was not invited to a lot of y'all's events. The ladies was like, oh, okay. This is some energy. Ashley's like, what events? Stacy said, well, they went, well, that, no, Stacy says, well, there went the mood. And they all start laughing. I don't know if they cut out what events because unless the ladies were getting together on their own and they had events that we didn't see, or they had events and we won't see them until flashback scenes or whatever. But child, Jacqueline wasn't happy. Okay. She said, I ain't seen y'all. Y'all have not had me filming. Anyway, then Kay arrives. Wendy then makes her announcement and says, hey, ladies. Hey, everyone. As you guys know, I have recently entered a new chapter in my life, chapter 40. Everyone here has something new going on in their lives. So I was thinking we could do like a liberation celebration in Panama. So all the ladies start screaming in excitement. Wendy says, so we are headed to Central America. So I just want us all to, buy some pieces for us to have fun. So they all say, yes, I'm down. I'm shopping. In her confessional, Wendy says, in the year of 40, I want to go and do things I've never done. Ashley says in her confessional, I'm very excited to go to Panama. The Panama Canal. Hello. I get to see it in person. Child, record scratch. Kay says, I mean, it's just not my style. Honestly, I like big Europe cities, not European cities, not, I like big Europe cities. Mm, okay. In her confessional, Stacy says, I'm so excited to see what's in store. This is going to be fabulous. Back in Kay's confessional, she says, give me caviar, give me champagne, give me Italy. I'm sold. Yeah. It's like, I guess in her mind, that's maybe what she may consider classy or a housewife trip or whatever. Like, girl, you're going to Panama. I only like big Europe cities. And this is no shade. I'm not trying to be fun. I do wonder when is the last time she went to a big Europe city. Okay. Anyway, back in the scene, Jazelle says, I'm going to do some shopping. So they all try on outfits. Now, I'm going to tell y'all one thing. If I don't see not one of them outfits that they tried on in Panama, if I don't see them wearing them in Panama, I know that as soon as them cameras went down, they went back in the store and returned. Matter of fact, we only really seen Kay swipe her card. So we shall see. So Jazelle says to Stacy, are you wearing your thong at the Love Lagoon? Stacy says, are you wearing a thong? And I felt like this conversation just came out of nowhere, but maybe they have been talking. I don't know. Jazelle says, I might. Stacy um, was like, well, Jazelle tells Stacy, well, we got to make sure we pick one out for you. Stacy says, I'll wear a thong if you wear a thong. So then Wendy says, wait, who's coming to the Love Lagoon? She says that to Ashley and Mia. She's talking to them. Mia says, I thought about inviting Jacqueline. She's my lesbian lover, child. Ashley says, love it. Mia says, because Jacqueline's not invited. Do you think Karen will be mad? Wendy says she's going to be mad as hell. Ashley starts saying, yeah, with her hand raised. Girl, then Karen walks over to them. So Mia says, Karen, I have a question for you. Okay, that's Karen. Mia says, I know your invite says bring a special someone. And I know that you asked me to bring Gordon, but he can't make it. The look on Wendy's face, y'all, please go back and is cracking me up. Like, did look like almost like she's the audience too. Like, and her mouth is open because no, you're not about to ask what I think you're about to ask. Mia says Ink's going to be out of town because he's getting honored. He's getting an award. Like when Karen got honored and got her award, Mia always got something going on, the same thing somebody else got going on. Anyway, she says he's getting an award, so I wanted to know. Karen says no, and Mia just starts laughing, which made me laugh. Karen says, "Don't even do that to me. I'm at a place in my life where I'm loving on Karen, and I'm pouring into Karen. So I set boundaries. My home is my peace. Listen, I get that. I don't mess with you anymore. I already told you. I don't F with you. You're not coming to my home." In her confessional, Karen says, Mia asking me, can Jacqueline come to my house after the horrible things that Jacqueline said about me? And they do a flashback of when Jacqueline was telling the table, Karen called her and she thought Karen was tipsy. Karen said, it's just being messy and setting up something that I smell foul. Mia then says to Karen, are you okay if I come solo? Karen says, absolutely. Mia says, I don't want to get kicked out of any more parties. And I think she was referencing the GNA party. And they hug. Karen says, good, and don't try. Well, I'll get into why I can understand the way Karen is carrying it with Jacqueline. So Karen says, good, yeah, don't try. They all look at Kay in her outfit. She comes out and they love it. Kay says to Wendy, how many nights are we going out? Ashley says, every night. Mia says to Jacqueline, I did ask Karen if it was okay to bring you to the party because it says bring your special someone. She said no. Karen is in the vicinity and says, that's right. Hello. Mia said that's her home. She doesn't want negative energy in her home. Jacqueline said, okay, well, that's fine. I honestly didn't want to go anyway. You did. You did. You did. Mia said, well, then we're all great. Jacqueline says, we're great. I'm good on that. And then Jacqueline says, I don't feel wrong in any way, in any fashion to extend an olive branch toward Karen. Listen, to hear Karen tell it, Mia brought you on that show, her first season, and dogged you. Remember, she told her, close your legs to married men, all that stuff. Dogged her. Jacqueline was crying. Off screen, they fell out. Jacqueline reaches out to Karen. So when we saw Jacqueline on the show after that season, Karen brought her on, not Mia, Karen. Karen says Jacqueline called her asking her how to get back on the show. So Karen was helping Jacqueline get back in the group with the lady she wanted to be on the show, and she thought they were friends. So then for you to come on TV knowing that I'm in the middle of this drunk and driving criminal case and all these ladies are talking about me, you talking about all the ladies are speculating on my case, and you're sitting up here with your friend that brought you on and dogged you, and then I'm the one that brought you back into the fold, not your best friend, AKA lesbian lover, AKA probably baby daddy, because we know that Jacqueline is pregnant. And I said, it's me and a baby daddy. In real time, Jacqueline is pregnant. But anyway, you want to sit around in front of them and with them and say, when Karen, you want to tell Mia off camera, when Karen called me, I thought she was tipsy, knowing that Mia would bring that on camera, and then you repeat it. That was a dangerous thing to do. Not even dangerous, but it kind of, we know Karen be drinking, but come on, again. Karen went out of her way to bring you back on the show to try to help you get back in the group you wanted to be in, not your BFF. And then you're going to come in here and talk about me being drunk when I called you or possibly being tipsy. I will be pissed off too. And I don't have nothing for you. Nothing. Because why would you even say that? Why would you even say it to Mia, knowing that Mia was probably going to bring it up on the show? So I get why Karen is carrying it like that. How dare you call me? You called me for help, and I helped you. You back. And now, girl, no, absolutely not. I ain't got nothing to say to you. Anyway, so Stacy was talking to either the owner of the boutique or somebody, or maybe one of the women who works there, and she says, did someone ask for a thong? Jazelle said, yeah, let's get TJ into it, honey. And they pick up a black thong. Wendy says, we're going to Panama. Jacqueline says, right, let's go to Panama. And Wendy says, in peace. Jacqueline says, "Do you have Happy Eddie?" Wendy says no. Now I don't know, and I'm pretty sure that was Jacqueline that asked and not Stacy. But then Wendy says no, but Eddie says he's bringing something for you at the Love Lagoon, which was to Stacy. So then Stacy gets really excited and says, "Oh my gosh, I'm definitely wearing a thong now, y'all." We get to Kay and Greg's house, and her brother, I think Brian, is there. So she comes in. She says to her brother, "Where are you coming from?" Brian says, "Work." Her brother, and she pours a shot for her brother, and Greg. Shot o'clock. Greg says, "Cheers to Panama." She says, "Cheers to Panama." He says, "A fun trip." Kay says, "A safe, fun trip." And Greg says, "No arguing," just as Kay was about to take a drink of that big old shot. And then she pulls back. Kay says, "This should be fun this time around. I don't know what to expect. I literally don't know why I assumed it was a place um, like right outside of Florida, like Florida, basically. Because I see people go there. And I believe Greg says, there is a Panama City in Florida, but are you going to the country or the city?" Kay looks confused. And he says, "I mean," as her brother is laughing. Kay says, "It's the country, I think." She did say it was South America. I thought Wendy said Central, but anyway, she said she did say it was South America, so it's the country. So Kay tells them that the theme is liberation. 3 divorces. We have Jazelle being an empty nester. We have Wendy turning a new chapter, 40. Greg says, "You said 3 divorces." And they just look at each other. And he says, "Not because of the show, is it?" Which I'm surprised they lit in. Now they're breaking the fourth wall a little bit more. So Greg says, "It's not because of the show, is it?" Um, Kay just looks at him like, "Don't start." He says, "It's a lot going on," as the brother is sipping on his shot. Now, in her confessional, Kay says, "Greg is not 100% on board with being on television. He's doing his best to support me, but it clearly doesn't feel very supportive to me. It doesn't make me feel good." Kay says to her brother and Greg, "I'm going to actually go and get packing." I believe it's her brother that says, "All right, let's see what you got going on in there." I know people don't like Greg. I don't dislike Greg. We see a few minutes of somebody and they either love them, then they end up turning on them, or they see more people like rush to make a judgment about somebody. She's an icon, she's a legend, she's the moment, when we've only seen them for a moment, right? I don't dislike Greg because we don't know what's going on in their relationship. Greg strikes me as the type that may be old school. Now, if you're not with that, he can be like that. That's cool. But then there needs conversations need to be had, boundaries need to be set, and expectations need to be set. Check this out. I know you feel X, Y, and Z. I don't feel that way. Where are we gonna meet in the middle? Because I'm not getting ready to be that what you think. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I get him saying, "Was it the show?" Like he's trying to make a point. Now, it wasn't the show, but he's trying to make a point a little bit, I think. You know, they say reality TV ruins marriages, which we know it doesn't. It may illuminate some things. Then you got all these people looking at your marriage for 10 seconds, saying they feel a certain type of way, and may cause you to look at your marriage a certain type of way. And the people could be right, all the way right, or the people could be all the way wrong, us observing. So I get why. Listen, people have asked me, "Would you do reality TV?" Uh-uh. Not like that. Like a housewife. I would rather interview the women and find out the housewife behind the housewife, as I've done on this platform, which you can go back um, wherever it is you listen to your podcast and scroll through. Crystal Minkoff, Ebony Williams, Margaret, Tiffany from Dallas, Gertie from Miami. So um, I would rather do that. If for some odd reason I woke up in my mind changing, I was approached, I know that Corey don't want to do it either. He would probably be like Greg, do it to support, but really not want to do it. Greg's way is to try to make a statement on the show about the show. So I don't fault him for not wanting to be on it. I don't know how that's going to work though, because Kay clearly wants to be on it. And let's remember, she did get into a physical altercation that could have really hurt her. Like with that glass, like that, it really, something really bad could have happened to her. Worse than what already happened. So I get it. Because we're not just talking about reality TV and us arguing, fight, and verbally sparring, carrying on. It got physical and was all over. So I get it. Anyway, let's see. So They go in and she asks them what luggage bag, this luggage or that luggage, the Gilead or the other one. I think it's Louis. Her brother says, how are y'all doing settling in? Talking about them too. Greg says it's a transition, female stuff. Her brother says, is she cooking? Is she feeding you? Now the mom asks the same thing. Why it got to be on? I remember one time when me and Corey moved in together, my cousin had came over and she said, I don't smell nothing stinking up in these pots. Because neither one of us cooked anything because it ain't on just me. No. Anyway, so uh is she Greg says I got turkey legs in the fridge right now. Kay says I love how y'all talk ish about me not cooking food. In her confessional she says our values are very different. Now see that right there is like not your values about a lot of things. I value adoration, I value intimacy. He values respect and order and food. They show the flashback of her and Greg in his office, and Greg is saying, you can get off the hinge sometimes. You can work on that. And she's like, even if we get married, I'm always going to be off the hinge. Back in her confessional, she says, I just feel like, I don't know. It's just so serious right now. Everything is so serious. Where is the fun? Her brother says, any baby fever, the next chapter. And she says, baby fever. Um, you mean next chapter as us continuing to settle in? Because remember, they're building a home. So their home is almost done. And they all laugh. Greg says, let's perfect that first. Yeah, the settling in part of it. Because what are you talking about, ma'am? We're not doing that yet. Anyway, Stacy meets with her Aunt Dora. Even though I just said not even 5 minutes ago that we give our judgment and say, oh, we love or like this person based on, I feel like Aunt Dora is fun. But they go to this little shop and that looks quaint. Stacy says, I'm so happy to see you. You know, her aunt says, I'm happy we're together. I miss you. Stacy says, I miss you too. We finally have some times without the husband. And Dora says, from now on, it's just going to be you. In her confessional, Stacy said, Dora is my father's younger sister. She's not that much older than me. So our friendship was more sisterly than aunt and niece. So I don't even call her Auntie Dora. I just call her Dora because she's my sister. She's my everything. I love her. So in the scene, Stacy tells Dora the truth is I'm happier when I'm separate from him, talking about her soon-to-be ex-husband. She said, sometimes you have to be the bigger person and say, this isn't working. What are we going to do about it? Dora says, right. Stacy said, I was that person. So Dora says, I just hope that if you all want it to be over with, that it doesn't just be hanging and hanging and hanging, him trying to prolong it. Stacy says, do you think I need to have a time limit? And her aunt says, you just don't want it to be going on and on and on. As it is right now. You've been separate. So you've been separated for, and Stacy says almost a year. It's been about a year. Dora says that's been a long time to not basically get some. That's been a long time to not get some. Then she laughs and says, I don't know if I could last that long, honey. Stacy said, excuse me. And then like she's coughing and says, oh, the tea is so hot. So Dora says, how's that going? Stacy said, you know, it is. Dora says, have you met anybody? So Stacy says it's a challenge. Dora says, have you been dipping your toes in the water? Stacy said, well, I have met someone, a very good friend of mine. I would say he's my best friend right now. He's someone that I can rely on to be honest with me. Dora says, so how did you meet and what's his name? Stacy says, well, we met at work. We used to work together. Dora said, okay, is he that cutie pie? Is he that cutie pie that I was like, oh my gosh, look at this new guy on QVC. They show a flashback to Stacy and TJ doing a little video on set. Dora says, what's his name? And Stacy says, TJ. Child, Dora throws her head back and they start laughing. Stacy says, he's mine. He's my best friend. And Dora says, you little sneaky thing. Stacy says, no, no, no. And then I feel like Auntie Dora looked right at the camera a couple times. Anyway, she says again, you sneaky thing. Stacy says, no, no, no. Dora says, because, I think she called her daughter Annabelle's or something Bells. Basically, has your daughter met TJ? Stacy says they met in passing because at QVC, she's been at QVC before basically and met all of her colleagues in passing. Dora says, you got that fine, ma'am? Stacy says, that's my best friend in the world right now. I promise you. Dora says, I hope he turns into something else. I can already tell you that. Stacy says, well, I don't know because we're not sleeping together. So Dora says, oh my God. Stacy says, we're really, and then Dora says, you know what? That's even better. Stacy says, why do you think it's better? And Dora says, because that's the way it should be. So Stacy said, you're the first person who said it's not a bad thing. Side note, I agree. It's not a bad thing. You don't have to immediately sleep with somebody. Again, that's not the be all end all. We crucify people who do think it's the be all end all, but then we turn around and say, well, you need to be sleeping with them right now. She got time for that. Again, I just don't like how TJ makes it like, to me, Stacy feel like she's not even wanted. Like, that's totally different from wanting to be celibate. He act like he don't even want her, like don't even want to touch her. Like that to me is bothersome. But anyway, um, Stacy said, I'm so shocked that you're okay with that. Dora says it's not an easy thing to do, but that's what God told us he wants to do. Stacy said, I think that if we were sleeping together, I think I would lose myself. Well, child, because where you are right now, we looking at you crazy. You calling him your best friend. So if you were to sleep with him, yeah, but yeah, you know what? Maybe it's a good idea. Don't sleep with him. Don't. Anyway, Dora said, I could understand that. Stacy says, right? Dora says it's one thing at a time. Get the divorce and then embark upon something else. Stacy says, everything you're saying is right. That's why I love you. And they start laughing. She said, because everything you tell me is the best. Dora said, now if I could tell myself some stuff that works. So again, I feel like I like Auntie Cousin Dora. I do. I feel like I likes her. All right, y'all. Sorry, I just got to keep my phone on to see what's going on. Okay. Jazelle's date with Namza. Jazelle gets there. Oh, child, Lord scared the entire mess out of me. That was loud. Sorry, y'all. Hold on a second. I just got to, let me turn that down a little piece. Gotta turn it down a little piece. Y'all bear with me. I just got to, girl, side note, sometimes I do deliveries and people get on my nerves. Don't text, but call if you got a question. No. Why am I on the phone? Anyway, Jazelle's on her date with Namza. They get there, they hug, they tell each other they smell good. And he tells her she understood the assignment as far as how she is dressed. Um, I said, okay. So they're at a salsa place, and in her confessional, Jazelle says, um, she out here dating. Hi. They do a flashback, and she said that he was like, I've been thinking about something fun for us to do. I want to do something different. So yeah, let's go dancing. She said he doesn't really know me that well. Child, alarms, everything, y'all. I'm sorry. She says he doesn't really know me that well because he would know I can't do this. They show a flashback to her dancing, and yeah, between her and Ashley, not a lick of rhythm. Anyway, so in the scene, she tells him, I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm not a very good dancer. And they show a couple of flashbacks. Like I said, that confirmed. She tells him, I can learn. And I was like, okay. He says, yeah, we got to get you a drink too. So they order a drink. He says, so you like, she ordered a mezcal on ice. He said, so you like straight no chaser? She said, kind of. He said, that's actually my specialty. In her confessional, she says, I'm about to have a house that's empty and it's all about me and what I want and what I like. I'm excited about whatever the future holds. It's like the sky is the limit. They did a toast, and he says, Namza says to us and those dimples on the side of your face. Jazelle says, okay, so I have questions. This is like rapid fire information. Don't think about it, just go for it. And then she says, Michael Jordan or LeBron James? He said, I would say Michael Jordan only because he made and I can't think of the word he used. Oh, the bald head, maybe. He made the bald head cool. Is that what he said? Because that's what my notes say. But sometimes when I'm using speak to text, it could translate as something else. Then Jazelle says, Tupac or Biggie? He said Biggie. He said, that's it. I thought they were going to be a little hard. I'm just saying. So Jazelle says, are you a criminal? He says, no. She says, have you been to jail? He says, no. She says, have you been married? He says, no. She says, engaged? He says, no. She says, favorite color? He says, green. And then she just kind of looks at him like, wow. In her confessional, she says, one thing Jazelle knows about herself is that I need for you to be a little mean to me. Otherwise, I don't like you anymore. In other words, she tries to run over men, but she don't want a man to let her always get her way, always run over them. Got it. She says, I need for you to be a little mean to me. Otherwise, I don't like you anymore. Men are rough around the edges. I don't think Nan's even been to jail anytime. The producer said, did Jamal do any jail time? Jazelle said he got arrested several times. Yeah. Then she laughs and says, he was fighting for the people's rights. And yes, I remember those times when he got arrested for that. So they get up and they start to salsa. He says, how you doing? I'm Chocolate. What's your name? And she says, Ginger. It was a cute little banter. Then they salsa. In her confessional, she says, I'm actually enjoying myself, which is all that needs to happen on the first date. You just need to have fun. He tells her, you have some rhythm. You don't think you do, but you do. God bless names. I do see how they're trying to repackage Jazelle, if you will, to us. They're trying to repackage her a little bit. Hey, like I said, I'm not watching every episode, but my butt cheeks clench, wondering what ism may or not happen. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Karen, we see Karen setting up for her love Lagoon child. Ray was on the mermaids, like, honey, like, let them get in the pool, Ray. Now look, the mermaids was flipping. I said, how long do they get? They cute. I like the theme, but how long do they gotta be in that water? Because that's a lot. Moving on. Jazelle and Namza, Ashley and Josh are driving to Karen's Love Lagoon together. Jazelle says, so Karen is the elder statesman of our group. Ashley says the seasoned one. And Jazelle says, yes, she's seasoned in our group. Her husband's name is Ray. He's very seasoned. They laugh. Jazelle says, I didn't want to tell you, but to Namza, but today's party at Karen's is called the Love Lagoon. He said, okay. Ashley said, Jazelle, you didn't tell him that it was the Love Lagoon. Jazelle said, I did not. I was a little nervous because I didn't want you to be like, I've known you for 5 minutes. Why are you taking me to the Love Lagoon? He said, listen, I don't even know what a Love Lagoon is. Jazelle said, there's going to be love games. He said, wow, okay. In her confessional, Jazelle says, look, I just met Nams. Don't know him that well, but I told Karen that if I did meet a man that I was going to see again, that I would bring him to the Love Lagoon. AKA, you was told we got to see more of your personal life because in the past, after Sherman, we've never seen anybody else, even though you continue to comment on the other women's husbands. I mean, that's what I felt like she was told. But anyway, she said, I'm introducing him to the Lagooners, and we're going to see what happens. Jazelle says, Karen is ready to razzle dazzle you guys. Ashley says, I'm excited. I'm a little nervous. I'm not going to lie. Jazelle says, why? Ashley says, because I've spent a lot of time with Josh. Mind you, again, they're all four in the car. I've spent a lot of time with Josh, actually, and hanging out. You know, I'm going to be protective of him a little bit. Nam says, Josh, that's my dog. Jazelle says, I don't know if I'm going to be protecting you. Then she starts laughing and says, I'm kidding. I'm not going to let them bother you. The couples all start to arrive at the house, y'all. So, wait, give me 1 second. Oh, okay. So it looks like TJ and Stacy arrived first. Stacy looks good. Karen has the Grom Dontinis. Child Mia arrived and slithers, honey, right on up the driveway. Jazzy and her man arrived. Where you been, Jazz? Stacy tells Mia it takes a confident woman to show up at a couple's event alone. Mia said, I'm actually happy coming to a couple's event solo dolo. Jazzy brought Karen a bottle of wine from her family vineyard. She said it's a 23-year-old bottle. If y'all watch Jazzy on Carlos King's YouTube, she gets into her family history. They got money, it seemed like. So she might not necessarily be with the boyfriend for his coins. Seemed like she may have her own, her and her family. So Karen says, you are the best gift giver. Jazzy says, yes, of course. Stacy tells Jazzy that Jazzy and her man Darius, you both look good like you stepped off a plane from Fiji. So Wendy and Happy Eddie arrived. Chadi was looking as good as they want to look. I said, come on, all that beautiful chocolate in that white, just, they were gorgeous. They look like they stepped off a runway and right into a magazine. So they look really good. In her confessional, Wendy says, I'm not going to say I inspired the girls, but baby, they show a flashback to Wendy's setup, which I guess Karen's setup looks like Wendy's. Back in her confessional, she said, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. That's probably like the going theme now for a lot of things. You know how things come, things go? That might be the theme for parties now. Who knows? Eddie says to Stacy, I got something for you, and gives Stacy Happy Eddie edibles. Say that 3 times. Happy Eddie edibles. Happy Eddie edibles. He says, so I got something for you. Kay and Greg arrive. Eddie asked Ray how often he takes a dip. All the men are together. Ray said, if the mermaids were there, I'd be in there. Child. They all start laughing. Girl Kay sees the mermaids and walks over to the edge of the pool and says, yes, mermaids, make it dreamy, make it wet. I said, okay. Jazelle, Ashley, and their dates arrive. By the way, I love the music that's playing as they're all getting out. Kind of reminded me of between Love Connection, the old school show, style show, Love Connection, and like Three's Company, something Three's Company-esque. So Karen greets them, and in her confessional, she says, Nams, I like him. I just think he won't last a moment with Jazelle, though. He's too nice. Child, then she says, Josh is gorgeous. She said, he looks like he's on a milk carton. He's just gorgeous, like carnation milk is on his breath or something. Mm-mm-mm. She said, Josh was gorgeous. He looked like he should be on a carton. Karen had old blue eyes, right? Karen liked white men too, and she just happened to end up with Ray. Okay. I'm just saying. Ashley sees the backyard and she's like, wow, look at this. Wendy turns around and sees Josh and says, is that Jack Harlow? Talking about Josh. In her confessional, Wendy says, where did this middle school Jack Harlow come from? This is a lateral move. Okay. And then she says, okay. So then Jazelle hugs and kisses Mia and says, hey, Mama Mia, you look so beautiful. This is interesting to me. I know that when Mia said what she said about her daughters, Jazelle said in her confessional, she's listening, she's taking it all in, but she will react. But yet last season, I know that people want to move on, but we have to have points of reference sometimes. She swore up and down that Candace and Wendy were looking a certain type of way at her daughter. And that was the second time that she had accused Wendy of being a certain way towards her daughters. She said Wendy was looking at her daughter a certain way when Jazelle and Robin had that event in the driveway of her $900,000 teardown a couple seasons ago. So you're taking it all in and you're going to react to Mia later, which we know we see your reaction now in real time on all the interviews you've done, which Jazelle seems like she's on an interview tour. And I said, oh, Bravo said, let's get the face of of Potomac out to, again, kind of change the image. But anyway, I just think it's interesting that she went so hard on Wendy and Candace. And again, Wendy twice, she accused her of acting a certain way towards her daughters. But now it's, oh, Mama Mia, you look so beautiful. I guess she was trying to be a little bit more strategic about how to get Mia back. Anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent. Sorry. Moving on. Ashley says to Stacy, you know, Stacy, you fit right in. You look like a mermaid. Stacy says, I do, because they were by the pool. Ashley says, you give mermaid vibes. And then Stacy said, I'm not getting in the pool. Ashley says, really? Stacy says, no. Then Stacy asks Ashley, are you getting in the pool? Ashley says, we'll see. Mind you, it's those two by the pool. Stacy says, do you have something underneath that? Ashley pulls up the bottom of her dress, like it was short anyway, and shows that lady her vagina. Because clearly she didn't have on drawers. She didn't show her a swimsuit. Stacy says, you showed me your vagina. Ashley says, and it won't be the last time. Later on in this episode, which we'll talk about, Ashley talks about how she is when she is on the lady side of the pond, when she's dipping in the lady pond. She says she's aggressive. I could see it. Why? That was my why. You're just getting to know Stacy. What if that had have offended her? Or she felt like, oh my gosh, somebody just showed me their vagina. Like that is okay. Child. Karen tells everybody to come over so they can play a game. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking, like, what if the situation was different? And it wasn't Ashley and Stacy, but anyway. Karen tells everybody to come over so they can play a game called Turn Up the Heat. Ashley ends up sitting on Josh's lap. Karen says, go ahead, Jizzy, move over for your man. Mia says, this is my first time seeing you with a man, because Jazelle's sitting right next to Mia. And Nams ends up sitting on the other side of Jazelle. Jazelle said, okay, get into it. Get into it. Mia said, I'm getting into it. And Jazelle says, get into it. Karen says, we're going to jump right into the love game. The game is called Turn Up the Heat. You choose your own question. Karen says, everybody has to participate in the question. Jazelle says, sure. Karen picks the first question and says, I'm going to read it out loud. She reads it and says, oh, my Father God. Jazelle said, Father God. The question is, do you feel like your partner has ever cheated? All right, let's jump right on in. Ashley says, what if you already know the answer? Jazelle says, are you going to answer it? To Karen. So Karen turns to Ray and says, I don't feel like you've ever cheated, baby. Ray says, you are correct. Karen says, hallelujah. Giselle says, what else was he going to say? And Wendy said, what was he going to say? I cheated in 1986. So then Wendy says, does it go both ways? Meaning, is Karen going to answer? And Ray says, I do not feel my partner has ever cheated. Try to look on everybody's face. TJ said, somehow this game just seems too easy. In her confessional, Jazelle says, you acting like you haven't cheated on Raymond? No, ma'am, no, ma'am, no, ma'am. They flash back to, I believe it was the first reunion when Charisse was telling Karen, people say you have a boyfriend. And they were talking about Blue Eyes, her driver. And then the last season, Robin talking about people sending pictures of Karen with a guy with blue eyes. So back in her confessional, Jazelle just laughs. It's Stacy's turn. And then Stacy says, see, this is why I feel like Stacy knows how to play this Housewives game. It's not all just wide-eyed, Bambi, innocent, stumbling into knowing how to produce Housewives moments. Stacy says, despite what Jazelle has said in the past, Jazelle says, what? But what I got to do with this? Stacy says Jazelle and Karen the other day at lunch said they feel that when you're in LA, she's talking to TJ, you're doing your own thing. The look on Karen's face was funny, like, girl. So Jazelle says, I thought y'all weren't a couple. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are not a couple, so this doesn't even apply. TJ says, I have to agree with her. Talking about he agrees with Jazelle. Ashley said, wait, what are y'all? Are y'all friends? Are you friends with benefits, with no benefits? Eddie says, I'm confused. I'm so confused. I am so confused. Stacy says, are you sleeping with anyone in LA to TJ? TJ says, the only person he's sleeping with is his Bugs Bunny on his bed. Jazelle says, that wasn't a good answer. I don't think Bugs Bunny was a good answer. In her confessional, Jazelle said that seems strange. She said that. Don't you think that seems a little bit strange? Like, you're a man? Okay. And TJ, nobody's believing you either. So since we lied, let's just continue to lie. Well, I mean, people have accused you of that in the past, but I get what you're saying. Stacy says, it's like so hot, isn't it? I mean, it's really hot. Jazelle said, TJ, Karen and I did have lunch with her. We did tell our girl Stacy that she should find a bunch of penises, all different shapes and colors, and do what it do. Stacy says, why did you have to tell the story like that? She also says, so then Jazelle says, I mean, Stacy, like, she just needs to know. So somebody says, let it out. And I don't know, meaning Stacy needs to just let it out. And Jazelle says, yeah. Ashley says, ride some pogo stick. Karen said, I didn't say she needed a bunch of penises. I said maybe some different penises. Kay says, a penis maybe, but not a bunch. Jazelle says, no shade to TJ, nothing to do with you. This is her journey. TJ says, but I get that. And listen, if you guys weren't her friends and you weren't looking out for her, you wouldn't have said it. I'm putting everything into being transparent and not having something on the side. Stacy said, this is a very intense game. Can we go on to the next couple? We got to move on. So then Jazzy's man asked the question, because he's holding it, do you feel your partner has ever cheated? She says, do you? And he says, no, I don't. She says, okay, well, I do. And they all seem to be like, huh? She said, I don't have proof, but I do feel like, because the key word is feel, but I do feel like there's a possibility. I feel like there's a possibility. Eddie said, come on, Darius, clear it up. Clear it up, Darius. Darius said, I feel like anything that happened was prior to us getting back together. And Ashley said, but not on Jazzy. Darius says, no. Stacy says, not on Jazzy. In her confessional, Jazzy says, I know my man has lied before about a whole child. We show a flashback where they're at Lake Norman, and she's telling us the ages of his children and how it kind of overlapped. And back in her confessional, she says, although I never caught the man, I'm also not an idiot. Like, I'm not an idiot. Did they just film this confessional after Darius's mother of his two children came out and did interviews? Because that's anyway. Okay. Ashley says, I'm passing. We're 2 weeks in, so I'm passing. So they pass it to Eddie and Wendy. So Eddie says, do you feel like your partner has ever cheated? He says no. Wendy says no. Eddie says, I know. Damn. He said, damn right. He said, quick, move on. Greg says, I'm going to say no because I'm having her followed. They laugh. He said, do I feel like my partner has ever cheated? No. Stacy said, Mia, please. Mia said, I'm going to speak on Gordon because I'm still legally married to him. And the answer is no. Jazelle said, what? No, wait. They flash back to them being at Candace's for their slumber party when it was Mia's first season. She talks about having a threesome. But then when she breaks down the threesome, saying she was watching Gordon and the other woman do their thing while she drank champagne. So that's not a threesome. That's being a voyeur. But okay. Unless people classify threesomes as different things, honey. But anyway. So Mia says, that's not cheating. If I said you can sleep with her, that's not cheating. Eddie said, because you knew about it. Mia said, because I knew about it. And I was there, so it's not cheating. Jazelle says, it's not cheating. Stacy and TJ look flabbergasted and both say, you were there? Karen says, so have you ever cheated on Gordon? Mia says, I have. Stacy said, why is she saying I have? And she's slowly passing the card. We're not going to pause. In her confessional, Stacy says, it's just a witch's brew of infidelity, man and women and cheating. It's a lot. Karen said, what we're going to do now is ask another question. So it's Kay's turn to ask the question. As she pulls out the question and reads it, Kay says to TJ, this could get you some insight to Stacy. Then she says to Greg, my baby, are you dominant? Are you more dominant or submissive in the bedroom? Jazzy says, this is so embarrassing. Kay says, because they haven't done. So Kay is saying, because basically somebody was saying, I guess, how is TJ going to get insight to Stacy? And Kay is saying, because they haven't done anything, basically, maybe he can learn if she's going to be dominant or submissive based on her answers. So TJ says, no, they haven't done anything, but I'm not a virgin. So then Ashley says, you're not? Kay says, right. So you feel like Stacy should know how you like it for when you get there. Kay says, as for me, I'm more the submissive one. Mia said, really? I can't see that at all. And none of the ladies can really see it. And Jazelle said, Kay be throwing Greg in the corner. So Greg says he's dominant. Wendy says, I'm more submissive. I feel like I turn into a schoolgirl because I get real shy. I can see that. Child, they all say I could see that. Child, this is where I felt like, I don't know if I was supposed to know. I don't know if I was supposed to know this about them. I don't know if I was supposed to know this. I don't know what I thought about them. I don't know what I thought. What happened? I don't know. With Greg and Kay. I never really gave much thought because I'm not looking at the couple saying who's dominant, who's submissive, but since the question came up. But anyway, so Wendy says she gets shy. The way Eddie snatched that card from Wendy and said, I think I'm dominant in the bedroom. She has her moments of dominance. They said, okay. Jazelle said, as she should. Eddie said, no, 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 no. Y'all, I'm sorry, I'm getting ready to blush. Eddie said, if I pull you to the edge of the bed, it's time to come to the edge of the bed. Wendy said he'll pull her to the bed. And she's like, no, I want to stay in the middle. And then he kind of snatches her. I said, child. Like the way he snatched that card, I said, I know. Wendy is like, Jody, you want cheese in your eggs and on your grits? And you want regular sausage links and sausage patties? And do you want scrapple? Because, baby, I said, I don't think I was supposed to know that, child. I started blushing. Jazelle said, well, we know Mia's answer already. Mia said, what is it? And Jazelle says dominant. Everybody says dominant. Then this is funny. TJ says, everybody thinks that. Mia says, with Gordon, I was very so much dominant. With Ink, he likes to choke me, so I'm going to give him dominant. Try to look on everybody's face. I said, Mia just be saying stuff. It's probably true, but he just be saying stuff. So when she said about the choking, I flashed back to a friend that I had. And this is an actual friend, not when somebody says, I'm asking for a friend. No, like this is not me. This is an actual friend. And I had a friend who said that he liked being choked. We were seniors in high school. And I said, like, he liked to be choked right before he was, get ready to. And I said, aren't you afraid, like, that they may get so excited? Like, what if they close their eyes and don't realize how hard they got their hands around your neck? And then you just basically go head on to glory. Like, you get up out of here. He was like, he wasn't afraid. I said, okay, well, to everybody to each their own. But y'all, I said, okay. Anyway, Stacy says, it's like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. In her confessional, Jazelle says, Mia, this was funny. Mia, of course he has to strangle you. That's the only way he can get a hold to you. Jazelle says, there's no choking here. No choking here. In her confessional, Karen says, I'm sure that he uses like 12 apple cart boxes to get to her neck and choke her, or maybe he leaps off of one of those bouncy things across the bedroom. I could see him flying across the bedroom. I said, you know what? Nam says he's dominant the whole way. Eddie said, well, he's Nigerian. Well, half Nigerian. So you know what that means? He's Nigerian. Jazelle says, what if I'm in a dominant mood? He said, well, then there's going to be some jousting going on. Jazelle starts laughing and says, I'm going to get choked. That was funny. They show TJ and Stacy, and TJ says, that's okay. And I'm not sure what they were talking about because he says that's okay. But then he says to her, you look good, and like pats her leg. And she says, thank you, baby. I don't know what that was about. Ashley says, well, as many of you know, Josh, you too, I dip and dabble in different. And Wendy says ponds. And Ashley says ponds. Ashley says, so when I'm in my lady pond, I'm dominant as it pertains to being Ashley, I guess, meaning when she's with men, she's submissive. I can definitely see Ashley being dominant with the ladies. Again, she just showed her whole with JJ to Stacy and let her know that's not going to be the last time, child. I'm not going to say, I was going to say something. I'm not going to say it. Anyway, so Wendy says, so with the ladies, you're dominant. Ashley says, yeah. Karen says, I can see that. In her confessional, Stacy says, woo, child, not in front of the mermaids. So Wendy says to everybody, can I say something? On my birthday, we were all taking shots, and I looked at Ashley, and I said, Ashley, you're so drunk. Wendy says, and I was drunk too. And Ashley says, yeah. She said, Ashley looked at her and said, you going to show me something tonight? And then she says, well, because in Mexico, I got a nice show. This is what Ashley's saying. So we flashback. That was a couple seasons ago, and they were all showing each other their vaginas. Stacy says, I've been to Mexico many times, and I've never shared that experience. So they said, oh, wait, it's Josh's turn. And Jazelle said, Josh's turn. Josh says he's more dominant. Josh asked the question, are you more dominant or submissive in the bedroom? He says, I'm dominant. That's all I'm going to say. Eddie said, explain so we can discuss. I said, come on, Eddie, tapping in. Eddie been tapped in. Somebody said, I don't know if I see that. He says, I'm a mystery. Ashley says, we want to know about you, Darius, to Jazzy's man. Darius says, I'll go ahead and say I'm dominant. I'm with the choking. I'm with the choking and all that. Stacy says, you go first. And TJ says, you holding the card. Why are you trying to change the rules? Stacy says, I'm definitely going to be more dominant. TJ says to her, yo, fam, just because I'm sleeping with you now, don't mean you ever going to be more dominant than I am. Yo, fam. It ain't going to happen. Everybody is like talking. Like there's so much happening, y'all. There's so much talking, so much happening. Stacy says, Karen, where are the fans? It's Ray's turn. Ray says, early on, Karen was more dominant than I was. She used to tear me up. And then he bust out laughing. I like Ray. He said, listen, I think I'm gonna have to marry this girl. I get child. Karen was putting it on him. Put it on him, make him want to marry me. So Karen was putting it on him, honey. Karen gives him a little love tap. Josh says, he's the best. He's the best. Ashley says, isn't he? We love Ray. Jazelle said, so Ray, Karen informed us a while ago that she retired her mouth. Would you like for her to come out of retirement? Stacy says, oh my Lord. Ray says, absolutely. And they all bust out laughing. Jazelle said, well, your man asked. Karen said, thanks a lot, Jizzy. Thank you. Child, all of a sudden we hear like wind chimes and we see beautiful flowers and we see the water and the mermaids are just a flipping and a flapping. And Ashley says, okay. She just says, okay. Then we hear like a truck starting. We see a deer. Then we see a random dog barking. Wendy said, you have a dog? Stacy says, someone's dog, someone, someone's dog is here. Wendy said, oh, well, because Karen's like, no. Wendy said, oh, well, you have a dog in your backyard. Child, Karen looks over and we see Jacqueline walking with sunglasses and balloons. Karen gets up out her seat and says, Jacqueline, Jacqueline, no, ma'am, no, ma'am, as the ladies are cracking up and we get a to be continued. I enjoyed this episode. The Love Lagoon was funny. It was fun. Like I said, I'm gonna be honest and say I definitely enjoyed this episode. Y'all let me know what y'all think of the episode, and I will talk to y'all later. See ya.